Mother, take my hand, lead me to the world I understand. Mother, take me home, help me find the strength to carry on. Everything in life we have is changing. You are all I need to keep me still. Mother of love, angel of light, I'm a long lost child, so alone in the night. Mother of love, angel of light, you have saved this soul, you have given me sight. Mother, keep me warm, always be my lighthouse in the storm. And Mother, set me free, give me wings to fly eternally. Mother of love, angel of light, I'm a long lost child, so alone in the night. Mother of love, angel of light, you have saved this soul, you have given me sight. Master world, the tide of war is rising, the suffering of children fills our eyes. Mother of love, angel of light, I'm a long lost child, so alone in the night. Mother of love, angel of light, you have saved this soul, you have woken me, Mother of love.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Jayanti, then a warm welcome to you and much gratitude from all of us for joining our call. On behalf of everyone that's here, we'd like to present you with the only flower I could get hold of during lockdown.
Yes, I accept it with love, and it's my pleasure to be with you all. And so thank you
and
to
immune
Gopi and
booster
to
for you as well.
Ah, lovely. Thank you.
We're very grateful that you're here to spend this very special time with us. And to start off, we'd like to actually hear from you, but just a little pointer. You came to Baba when you were in the younger generation, and you, from everything that we've picked up, have been able to really catch that signal and make significant changes in your life so that you could really rise to your potential, and on a level of personal development as well as on the level of becoming such a wonderful instrument for Baba. Taken those steps to a point where now a lot of Baba's world service you are one of the main instruments for. So we'd like to hear from you the inside story about how we, as the next generation, future instruments and current instruments in Baba's Yagya, can also catch that signal, the call of the time, and really do very, very significant things internally so that that pure impact can be made externally.
Okay, well, firstly, I just want to acknowledge the beautiful tribute that you played at the start, and it was very lovely scenes with Dadi. And of course, I know that Dadi's had a very special role to play with all of you. I think each and every one who's been part of IYF has really taken a huge amount of personal benefit from Dadi. And according to drama, she was always there for you in December. And I know that it was a wonderful time for her to be with you. She enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. And I also saw lots of scenes with Dadi Gulzar, Dadi Ratan Mohini. And so I know that all of you have been very, very blessed with sustenance from all the three Dadis, but also before that, Dadi Prakashmani. And I don't think any of you were there for Didi Mohini, but maybe some were. But also, of course, directly from Avyakt Bap Dada. You've all had a huge amount of personal sustenance from Avyakt Bap Dada. Baba's attention on the young ones was beautiful to witness. I see how one of the main things that has supported me in my journey is a very, very powerful desire to give Baba and Dadi the return of whatever it is I have received. And that's been a huge amount. But firstly, I could feel that Sakar Baba, Avyakt Baba were giving me so much love, so many blessings, that it was very important for me to give them the return of all that I had received. And then with Dadi Janki especially, but all the Dadis, but again with Dadi Janki, the deep thought has been always, can I give Dadi the return? How much can I give? And is it ever going to be enough? And so I think a starting point for each and every one of you is to just look back and see how much you have received from Avyakt Bap Dada, from Brahma Baba, from the Dadis, and especially the three Dadis, Dadi Janki, Dadi Gulzar, and Dadi Ratan Mohini. Because what happens then is that you appreciate what you've been given, and there's a huge amount of gratitude in the heart for that. But also, when you can appreciate, then the next step that comes is the sense of what return can I give? And I know that Baba's a magician, and in two different ways. A magician in terms of my own inner transformation, but also a magician in terms of world service. I don't need to worry about world service. It's going to happen. God is a magician. He's going to touch souls and things will happen automatically. But when he touches my intellect and I know that I have to change, then for me to respond to that signal is very, very important. And so can I do that? Can I understand Baba's signals for me through each day's murli, through circumstances that evolve during the day? Maybe today something happened and I look back and I think, well, maybe I could have dealt with it differently. And when that thought comes, then I say to Baba, Baba, well, with your help, I'll have to change this. And Baba does give us that realization. Baba does give us the power. And Baba then supports us through that transformation. And so God, the magician, working on each and every one of us is wonderful proof of the way that God transforms humans into deities and then the world from Kali Yuga into Satyuga. But the beautiful magic that's happening inside is something really, really to be appreciated a great deal. Avyakt Bapdada's Murli of Sunday was very, very deep and meaningful, as of course every single one. But in terms of the call of the time now for each and every one of us, and this isn't just for young people, but maybe young people need to be more alert, that because they can be very, very quickly influenced. But as I say, Baba was speaking to everyone. But the two things that Baba mentioned in particular, am I impressed by anyone? And if I'm impressed, maybe I justify it, and it's with a very royal attitude that I say, but I love the way they conduct yoga. I love the way they give gyan. It does so much service. Is it their virtues that are attracting me? Is it their skills that are attracting me? What is it that's attracting me about them? And can I remember that they had none of this before? All that has come from Baba. They didn't have gyan before. They didn't know about yoga before. They didn't know about service before. And so all of this is coming directly from God. And so can I, rather than be impressed by this individual, appreciate them, give them respect, but more than that, my connection is strengthened with God because I see how He has made them beautiful in that particular way. And when I connect with God, then I know that I can also develop the same qualities that they have. And so I see that that Murali was a very particular one. And of course, it was connected with another very big subject that I want to come to in a minute. But the essential part was not to allow myself to be impressed. But the other side, are there people that I find challenging? I'm sure there are. And maybe it's not just one, maybe it's a whole line of them. Well, whoever it is, whatever it is it possible for me to see what's going on and whatever it is they're doing, not get into like and dislike, not get into reactions, not letting it imprint in my heart in a negative way, whether it's through anger or upset or jealousy or disgust, dislike, worse than that, hatred, animosity. Can I keep myself free from all of these things which are so unclean? Because being impressed influenced my buddhi, my intellect. Equally, being upset, disgusted with somebody, that's occupying space in here and is also influencing my intellect. And the most precious gift that we receive from God in Sangam Yuga, which is a gift that is really never again to be had in the whole 5,000-year cycle. It's the Paras Buddhi, the divine intellect. The intellect that was stone has been touched by the magician, the alchemist, and turned into a divine intellect. Well, do I actually realize that my intellect was stone before? Well, I didn't know myself. I didn't know God. I didn't see you as souls. So I have to acknowledge that, yes, my intellect was quite gross. It was absolutely stone heavy. But now that God has touched me, my job is to keep that intellect very, very clean. So both of these things, being impressed so that I keep quoting, oh, this one said this, oh, this one said this, oh, this one said that, or that person is always my choice, in the sense that if I need to go somewhere for service, I'll say, I'd like to go with them. If I need to choose somebody for service, I say, well, that's the right person who should go. So you can see all of these signs when you know Then you start looking for it, and you see it, you recognize it. Then you have to say to Baba, Baba, I want to be free from this. I don't want to be influenced by any human being. Sat Sang, company with the truth, Baba. And even the dadis always made sure that we didn't get stuck to them, that we didn't get so attached to them that they were not free and we were not free. I remember Dadi Janki making sure that I had connection with all the different dadis so that I could see the beauty in each one of the dadis, their specialities, and learn from those specialities so that then I would be able to move forward and she also wouldn't get trapped. Because if I'm attached, the person I'm attached to, through no fault of their own, they're also getting stuck because my vibrations are pulling them back. This is why Baba says, neither must I get attached, nor must I allow anyone else to get attached to me. And the way to keep myself free is to make sure that I'm connecting whoever it is I'm teaching or serving or I'm an instrument for, connect them to somebody higher than me so that they don't get stuck with me. It'll hold my progress up considerably. So being impressed, that's one factor. And then the other is also very damaging to my intellect because it's a very negative feeling to have all those things that I mentioned earlier that are connected with dislike and upset. And here I am trying to make my intellect clean so that my intellect, this precious vessel, can hold God's truth within it. And if I'm polluting it with all this other stuff, it's going to not allow me to understand what Gyan is really saying. Then my interpretation will be my own. It won't be what Baba actually is telling me. And so my job is, having received this beautiful gift, I have to make sure I keep it clean. And so both sides, the negative, the positive where I get attached, and the negative where I really get disgusted, but neither allows my intellect to be clear and clean. And at this moment, the call of the time for all of us is very definitely to make sure that we don't allow our intellects to be influenced either by somebody's very beautiful positive behavior or somebody's negative behavior. Why? Because it's challenging times that we're living in. And do you think it's going to get better? Not today, not tomorrow, not in the next little while. How long the virus story is going to last, I hear. Somebody told me that normal travel will only open in March 2021. And somebody else told me, okay, let's wait till September, October, and things will have settled down. So that's another story. And so you don't know what to believe. And actually, nobody really knows. All this is guesstimation. It's not actual research and analysis because we've never had something like this happen before. It's unprecedented. And so now at this moment, what is it that I really need? I need a clean, clear intellect that's able to stay under God's canopy of protection and is able to connect with God with one thought. One thought. It shouldn't take me 10 thoughts to reach Baba. Nowadays you have your phones and you press one button and you're able to connect any part of the globe. The people who are your favorite people, you don't have to scroll for them. You don't have to press buttons, digits to get their number online. It's one click and you're connected. So my favorite person, my favorite personality is Baba. Can I connect with Baba with one thought, one click? I should be able to. I need to be able to do that. Because imagine you're in a difficult situation, and at the moment we're able to have access through Wi-Fi, but there's going to come a time when there are situations when no internet, no Wi-Fi, your phones are not going to work, your mobiles are out of action. What happens then? Am I going to think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or am I going to say, hello God, hi Baba, connect with Baba and see what is the signal that Baba's giving me that can help me at this moment. Maybe the signal will be, stay where you are, do not move. In an earthquake, that might be the best thing to do. And I've never dealt with earthquakes. Maybe I find myself in one suddenly and I don't know what to do. And Baba's saying, just stay. But in another situation, just staying, standing there or sitting there is not so useful. And maybe what Baba wants to tell me is, go fast, go safe, but go fast. Like Ram Prakash Bhai did in the Twin Towers story. He made his mind silent when he heard what's going on and nobody knew exactly what was happening. It was confusion. And the tannoy was saying, stay, stay, stay. But he connected and Baba told him, go. And he plus 25 others who followed him out came out, and the second tower fell. The first had already gone, but the second tower then fell. Literally a minute after they'd all come out. If he had at that moment decided, I'm going to sit down. Yes, everything around me is shaking, but we don't know whether it's an earthquake, whether it's a hurricane or a volcano or a bomb. We don't know what it is. And he was able to catch Baba's signal. Is my intellect, sorry?
In response to what you're speaking about being able to catch Baba's signal, there were a few questions that came in from the group about deepening that connection with Baba and with yoga. And it seemed to me like we just want a bit more clarity so that we can have more confidence in our connection with Baba. Like, how do we know, or is there any indication or signal that we're doing it right? And is there a method, or are there just broad overriding principles that we adopt into our practice and personalize so that it works for us? Can you just share a little bit more about this whole aspect of deepening the connection?
Some of the things that I've been talking about are about that, in the sense that no influence. Now, that's not just for when I'm sitting down in yoga. Sitting down in yoga will be the proof of whether I'm free from influence or not. If when I sit down to meditate, this person's face keeps coming in front of me from a negative or a positive side, or if in my dreams this person's face comes in front, or even through the day, my thoughts keep getting pulled to that individual, I know that I'm off track with my yoga. And both things work together, keeping myself free from influence and the quality of my yoga, and the more clean the quality of my yoga, the easier it is to stay under God's canopy and be free from influences. So now at this moment, I'm surrounded by many people, influenced by many different things. So now where do I begin? I begin with training my mind. Why does Baba want us to have Amrit Vela every day? So that right from the start of the day, we're checking what's going on in my mind. Can I keep my mind focused on God? Maybe at first it's a bit wavery, but gradually I learn to be able to stabilize it, stay with it. Don't give up. Don't give up. Just stay with it. And I'll be able to go deeper and deeper and make that connection. And then my Murli. My Murli is the way to keep this clean. You know, they say take a dip in the Ganges, and our Ganges is the river that flows through the Murli. God, the ocean, through the mouth of Brahma, has given us the flowing waters of the Ganges that can purify. And if I can actually focus on Baba's Murli without any other distraction, that's a beautiful sign. It'll tell me that, yes, I'm connected with one, and that's how I want to stay. And if during the Murli I'm distracted by this thing, that thing, and the other thing, even service, that's not deepening my connection with Baba. And so see how focused you can stay through the Murli. And then through the day, again, traffic control. Is it taking me a long time to connect, or am I able to connect very quickly?
Okay.
So all of these are indicators of what happens in the buddhi when I'm paying attention or I'm not paying attention. And if I've paid attention and my buddhi yoga is clean and clear, I trust myself because I know that my connection is with Baba. I feel that presence. I feel the love. I feel the power. I feel the purity in me growing. I feel myself light and free, liberated from the burdens I was carrying before. All these are personal indications, and it's not somebody else who'll tell you, hey, look, you've only got 5 out of 10. I have to be able to see, is it 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10? Yeah. Because my yoga is something I know about, and Baba knows. But looking at somebody sitting there quietly, do you know how well they're doing yoga? Yes, maybe their body language is that they're quiet, they're still good, full marks. But I don't know what's going on in their mind. And so I know, and God knows. And so through all of these different things that I've mentioned, you can check whether your connection with God is getting deeper and stronger and more constant. Because being able to connect within a second also means that the rest of the time, the other minutes of the hour that are going by, where is my buddhi? Is it just scattered here and there and everywhere? Or is it that I recognize that that too is going to be either impacting the quality or it's going to be distracting me? So that's a checking thing that goes on through the day. And the more adept I become at that, the stronger, the clearer the connection with Baba is.
Thanks, Jayanti. And in relation to the other aspect that you described about what could influence the intellect, which is our disapproval and emotional reactions towards situations, there were a few questions that came up about just observing different things that might be happening in society. Some of the examples that were cited in different questions were things like, one religious group dominating over another, and scandalous news going out, and conspiracy theories, etc., about and basically just a very divisive type of energy. And the question that came up was actually based on a very sincere wish to intervene, but a little bit of a confusion as to what level of intervention is appropriate for us as Baba's children. So the one thing you brought up is obviously when we are observing these things, not to react and not to allow our intellects to be corrupted by disgust or disapproval. But do you feel that there still will be margin for some sort of intervention? And can it be more than just a passive level of intervention where we watch as detached observers and continue to just send mansa seva and good wishes? Or is there margin for us to intervene on a different level in terms of things that we might say or do?
The quality of my intervention and the amount of intervention will depend on the quality of my relationship with that individual. if it's an individual that I'm not very close to, stop. Don't say a word. See and don't see. Hear and don't hear, really. And if there's somebody senior, that I need to make them aware of the situation so that I'm not taking tales to the teacher. But what I am doing is to make the teacher aware that this is a situation and that they might want to deal with it. But once I've given that information, finish. And not to repeat that anywhere else.
And in that context, with regards to broader humanitarian things that might not actually be related directly to what's going on in the Brahmin family, but maybe something like, hatred of one religious group to another in a community and the unrest that might come out of that.
In fact, that's much easier to deal with in a sense, because yes, I belong to a particular race, I belong to a particular religion maybe, and so I'm under attack or whatever. But it's still not just me personally, it's a general situation. And so I don't take it on a personal level, usually, unless I lose my job because of racism or because of my religion, then that does become a very personal but also a collective story. But say, for example, when I see something that's unjust, Daddy, of course, was challenged a lot about all of this, and she'd be meeting people and they'd say, what about this injustice, and that injustice? And Daddy would say to them, will your anger, because usually they were angry about it, will your anger change the situation to create justice? And of course, they had to acknowledge that it won't. And then she'd say, if that injustice is causing you such angst, do you have the power to be able to change what's going on? And again, they had to acknowledge there wasn't. So she said, the way to be able to deal with all the things that we're seeing in this dark night, the night Kali Yuga, and she sometimes told them Kali Yuga, sometimes she didn't, but she'd talk about the dark night. If that's what's going on, then when I detach from that and I let myself go into that inner state of quiet, I'm able to use my silence power. And then I have to hand it over to God to say that God is the one who's going to change the things that have got upset and put them right. Everything that's become a mess, it's going to be God who can sort it out and make it better. It can't be human beings. Human beings intervening in those situations of injustice probably have some other motive in their mind also. You can never be sure. And is it totally, absolutely detached? Is it totally being the observer? No. It's my emotions, my feelings also that are very much involved in that. And so Daddy's point was detach, be soul conscious. Let this situation be outside. Don't let it get you impacted inside. And when I learn about this, detaching from that situation, then I'm able to think more clearly. And then I'm able to understand whether there's something possible I can do or whether there isn't anything I can do at this moment except send good wishes to the victim. And you know what happens? Today there's a victim, tomorrow the same victim becomes a perpetrator. Have you seen that happen in the world? I have many, many situations. And so I'm saying poor victim. For the poor victim is already preparing an attack and is being and has every intention to be a perpetrator. And so it's the dark night. And so what we have to do is to keep our hope high. We know that the golden age is coming. We know that the world of justice is coming. The world of truth is coming. So let my vision be focused on that. But also our job as Baba's children is to give hope to others. That yes, things are bad now, but after the night, the day always comes. But the important thing is not what happened. What was my response to what was happening? Is it anger? Is it disgust? Is it hatred? Fail. I cannot help the situation in any way at all. Detach, hand it over to Baba, and yes, I can still be not passive, but very active proponent of something else, and that is the power of silence. I can draw God's power and share God's power with the world, not just that one individual or two individuals who are involved in a particular scene, but really to draw God's power and share God's power with all, so that each one takes however much is in their destiny.
Actually, Jayanti, we did have a question about Mansa Seva, or a few questions actually, where there was really an interest in, we want like almost a confirmation, if there can be, that when we're doing this, taking Baba's light into ourselves and passing it out to the world, is it really happening? Like how, is it my process of visualization that's going to enable it to, for those vibrations to pass out into the atmosphere, or is it just that I'm in a deep inward experience? So there was a need for more clarity as to what exactly do I do when I'm making this special effort of Mansa Seva, and I want to do it right. So if you can kind of just clarify that.
Okay. One of the main things about Mansa Seva is that I shouldn't make it specific. I shouldn't say that my sister is not well, I want to give her sakash, or any relative of mine, or any specific individual in that way. Also, I should not try and make it country specific. Oh, today Syria has a great need, but tomorrow it's somewhere else that has a great need. So not to switch in that way. Because Mansa Seva means being up above, being with Baba, and Baba is the sun. The sun's rays are reaching out over the world, and I'm Baba's companion, Baba's instrument to be able to channel that energy also with Baba. I can't do it on my own, but with Baba I can. And so don't think about getting a new house for Baba, even though it sounds as if it's a great idea for service. That's not what your yoga is for. Don't think about, oh, so-and-so's sick, I hope they get well, I'm going to send him Baba's light. Well, send him Baba's light by all means, but he may or may not recover. That's the reality of today's world. When something strikes you, even to diagnose something is difficult nowadays, because things have become so meshed up, so tangled up, so complicated. And so what I need to do is to be with Baba, up above, and then with Baba, just send that light across the whole world. Hold the whole globe in your vision, and let Baba's drishti fall on the whole world. And whichever part of the world each one may be in, those people, wherever it is they are, they will feel that they've received some help. Maybe they were feeling very hopeless, and now they feel strength and support. Maybe they'd finished all their money, like the farmers in India, some of them. The harvesters come, but they're not able to travel to the villages to take the harvest. And so what can they do? They're looking towards a future in which all their money was invested in this year's harvest, and it's all gone. Or maybe it's only 40% that remains. The rest is gone. Why? Because they're in lockdown. They can't even go to their village to do the harvesting. And so by the time they actually do go, the main bulk, the time would have gone past and it would have rotted. So am I going to say to them, sit here and give sakash to your fields? No, I'm going to say to them, your Baba's children, stay up above and send God's light everywhere. And the blessings of that are going to come to you. We use this word blessings, but it's very much connected with service. If I have served someone, be it through thoughts, words, or deeds, whichever it may be, but having served an individual, there's automatically going to be a return of good wishes and blessings coming my way. And so if I've done Mansa Seva with a clean and honest heart, I've cleaned my own mind, Mansa, Seva of the mind, serve my mind first. Then I can serve others at a time of difficulty. But at that moment then, let me just send them God's light, God's love, and then see whichever further door opens. And definitely doing Mansa Seva in this way will open doors.
Thanks, Jayanti. There were so many questions, and what I really picked up, like this question about Mansa Seva and the desire to really deepen the connection with Baba, all of it geared towards being the best instruments that we would like to be for Baba. I would like to know a little bit more from you, if you could share about how this generation, in a sense, can be incorporated into the whole in terms of the yagya, in terms of the sharing of responsibilities and the flow from one generation to the other in terms of inclusivity and service, etc. I don't want to use the word handing over, because I know that the yagya, is big enough and loving enough for everyone to be part of it. But, and also just looking at your example and how you spoke in the beginning of every single dadi and the value that they've brought into our lives, it's always going to be all of us coming together and sharing with each other and drawing from each other. But can you share more about us as the younger generation in that context?
I think that there's a need for a lot of humility, because the younger generation, of course, you have all the skills of technology that we don't have. You have all the awareness and the understanding of what's going on in the world that we don't have. But yet, if you approach those who are older with humility and respect, you're more likely to find them supporting you, cooperating with you, and helping you move forward. If you walk in with the ego of youth and say, look, it shouldn't be like this, it really has to be like that, you're switching them off. They're not going to be interested to reach out to you or to give you their time, their attention, or train you in the things that they've learned in a very hard way. They're going to just let you carry on and make your own mistakes. And quite frankly, there isn't time now to make mistakes and learn from mistakes. Everybody else has made mistakes and they can tell you about them, and you can learn from that. And it'll save you years of worry and anxiety and tears and sorrow. Just take what they can give you with a lot of respect and humility, and that will carry you forward in your own journey. We asked Dadi this question. In fact, it was a group of young people with her in Moringen at the retreat center in Germany 2 years ago. She'd come there, and IYF people, about 8 of them, were part of that retreat. And so somehow they just got together and they were with Dadi. And what happened then was one person asked Dadi, what is the way we can create fortune? And my own awareness of that had always been the service you do, the surrender you have, and so on and so on. And Dadi that season was taking up one aspect. And it started with the young people. She said to them, focus on your dharana. She didn't say become more clever in Gyan. You're all very clever in Gyan. She didn't say have more yoga, though now we do have that possibility of more yoga. That's great. But she said to them, Gyan allows you to have good yoga, and good yoga changes your sanskars so that your dharana shows how much Gyan and yoga you have. And on the basis of your dharana, there will then be service. It was a big shift in my awareness that the most important subject, the call of the time now, is to have that dharana, to be the embodiment of what Baba's asking me to be. And that'll speak for itself. Elders won't keep you down. They won't push you out of sight. Everyone will see your dharana. Even if the elders don't say, come on the platform, it's fine, it's okay. But now, my dharana shines, and others see this and say, yes, it's true, we've seen changes in her that we didn't know were possible. And so, let me suggest that you approach your dharana as your priority. You also approach your elders with respect and humility, and that will keep continuing to open the doors. And you'll find that your own life becomes so pure and so beautiful that many, many others want to follow and say, yes, this is what I would like to do for my life.
Thanks, Jayanti. And on this topic of dharana, in the context of many of us who are still in some way interfacing with the outside world quite a bit, whether it is with Lokik studies or Lokik work, and like you pointed out, keeping that dharana whilst we're in another field out there. There were many questions about striking the balance or integration of spirituality whilst we're out there. If you can just speak of that in the context of dharana, and more specifically, what I'd be interested in hearing is like your particular opinion or insights into what it is that makes or breaks the whole line of dharana that we should be, or the circle of dharana that we should keep ourselves in.
The formula that Baba has given us is, first, your time for yourself. Second, your time in human relations, whether at work or at home or in the center, wherever. And third is the task. And so when you go to work, just remember that. My dharana, my own personal stage, is the first priority. The second is not the work. The second is relationships. And so be kind. Have a courteous word for everyone you meet along the way through the corridors to get to your own desk. If somebody needs help and you have the possibility of supporting them and giving them that help, do that. Be kind to them. Be cooperative with them. And that'll win their hearts. And that'll be proof that you are God's child, as distinct to just one of the huge rest. And then thirdly, if I've been focusing on my own dharana, etc., then when I do the task, because my mind is clear, it's clean, what other people would take half an hour to resolve, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, the clarity of my intellect will give me an answer within 5 minutes. And definitely I'll be more successful at work following this formula than I could ever have been otherwise. And maybe now I'm older, maybe now I'm not so able to do all the things I used to do, but the ones who I've served will be the ones who'll be taking it up and serving in those lines. And so not even a question of balance, question of prioritization. And the crux of the whole thing, am I able to influence others, or is their influence working on me? And if it's their influence that's working on me so that my standards are shifting, the standards that I had before, I'm not adhering to those anymore. And so if that's what's going on, they are influencing me. It's dangerous. Why am I there? I'm there to serve through my thoughts, my words, my behavior. Let me be able to do that. And I'd love to carry on. And it's been very lovely connecting with the Vindri, and through the Vindri, the whole group. And I know that there's many of you.
Thank you so much, Jayanti.
But we're lucky we have Sister Gopi with us. I'm going to ask her to join you, and I'm sure that she'll be able to share something.
I think Jayanti's sharings were very precise and on the mark on many, many issues. Don't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And we actually got to almost the very near end of all the questions that came through. There was just one more question that I had on the list to ask of her. So would you be able to maybe answer this question?
Sure.
On the topic of being impressed with someone, it could go on to many different levels. It could eventually even land up to be attraction. And that can take on the form of in my thinking, or it could actually progress to me actually becoming involved on that level. And if at any point in time I catch myself and pull myself out of it, I'm still left with the guilt, of having allowed myself to go down the wrong track. So basically it is, how do I deal with the repercussions or the residual feelings once I come out and have my realization again?
I just want to perhaps clarify before that question the difference between being impressed with someone and being inspired by someone. When you're inspired by someone, there's a quality that you're actually taking from that person, and you want to become that. That's something you assimilate in your own dharana. And my experience of being inspired is that you're energized as a result of that. When you're impressed, what starts to happen is that your intellect starts, the energy of your intellect starts to get consumed. And one of the experiences that follows from that, especially linked to when attraction begins, is you'll start to feel tired. And when the energy of your intellect diminishes, what starts to happen is your ability to realize yourself as a soul starts to reduce, because the feeling of what you are being consumed by takes over. And so in that situation, of course, the byproduct of letting your intellect be hijacked by a body or someone's presence in your mind and intellect has a cost. That cost is that your conscience will bite. There will be that feeling of a little bit of guilt. I shouldn't be doing it, but it's happening. And I think in that situation, what's very important is not to continue to indulge those symptoms, but to really, first of all, if you can, talk to a senior or somebody you have faith in and just allow yourself to be honest and say, this is happening to me. Because what starts to happen when you actually let yourself be honest, really with the aim of wanting to be liberated, is you start to disengage from it. They say when you want to kill the effect of something or the influence of something, expose it. And so a big part of breaking the body consciousness of shame or guilt or whatever of the symptoms is that it needs some exposure in an honest way. That's the first thing. Second, it's important to ramp up tapasya time. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that combats these feelings of body consciousness are very deep, pure feelings of the soul, and the lightness of the soul, and the closeness of the soul with Baba. And it will mean some extra dedicated tapasya time where you're able to write to Baba, you're able to sit with Baba. Even, Baba in the early days would write, I'm soul, I'm a soul, I'm a soul, retraining your intellect back towards the essence of the soul. because that's the energy that starts to get diminished when your intellect is absorbed with somebody. And it's important we don't indulge that absorption any further, because it just continues to further damage the intellect. And the damage means that your power of realization finishes, even your interest in knowledge reduces. You listen to the Murli and you start to think, oh, well, yeah, I hear this every day. The Murli isn't alive anymore for you. And so these are all signs that something is kind of numbing the intellect inside. So it's really important that you catch it early, expose it, and then quickly bring yourself into line with some form of tapasya, so that the experience of the soul and of Baba's love for you, which is eternal, it doesn't matter what your packaging is. Baba knows that you're Tamo Pradhan. Baba knows that you've got all these tendencies, and yet Baba chose you. And so that experience and that faith to know that in this point in time, I might not have enough faith in myself, but Baba's chosen me and Baba has faith in me. That is enough to get you moving in the right direction again.
Thank you. Actually, in essence, I think all of the questions that were submitted in some way or the other have been answered. Some of it, I asked the question directly, and a lot of the questions were naturally answered in the Indian's talk at the beginning. So, Sister Gopi, would you like to say something in summary and then lead us into a meditation?
Yes, I would just like to share that, especially in relation to the topic of today, my feeling is that the current scenes in the drama, being here in Madhuban, means that we're now moving to a stage of neutrality. I remember reading an Avyakta Murli where Baba was describing the stage we should have at the end. And this is the stage that is beyond praise and defamation, victory and defeat, like and dislike. And it's a stage of neutrality that really allows us to be a true instrument, an angel at this time, so that Baba's energy can be revealed to the world. And there will be changes going on inside each person at this time, because whether you like it or not, drama is moving forward. And the drama is now the authority taking over from Baba. Baba, in one sense, has become more silent, and the authority of drama is taking over. And that will bring out different feelings in people. For those who've accepted the drama, there won't be that much resistance. For those who haven't, there'll be a little bit of resistance. There'll be other feelings, stuff that hasn't been reconciled that starts to come up. So my advice is continue to strengthen the practice of being a detached observer and being with Baba and gracefully allowing whatever is coming up to come and to go. Because this is one of the beautiful secrets of the drama at this time. Whatever has come up, be it in your mind, be it in your body, be it in your relationships, it has come to take leave. So give it leave in Baba's company with a lot of love and grace. And Baba will see you to your final destination, because that's his job. He took up the contract of purifying us. He took up the contract of making us perfect. And so we just have to be as quiet as possible and let him do this work on us. And then I feel we make Brahmin life easier for ourselves. I would very, very much like to thank the team behind the scenes here. There's Brother Narayan, who's been the technical supervisor, Brother Saurabh, Brother Piyush, Suzanne, Asi, Bea, Shivani, Piyush from Dubai. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, but this is the wonderful online programs team that have begun this initiative today with Sister Jayanti. And we hope every 2 weeks from this point on, we will continue to have one program or another of a different format, different type, perhaps an online bhatti, Oh yes, I'm just being reminded Sister Sapna from Australia is part of the team. And so we have the whole continent represented, all people from right across the world on this team. And so, further programs every 2 weeks will take on the form of yoga buddies. And we aim to have a RC present at each one of our sessions so that we can take maximum benefit from the wisdom of our seniors and elders in the process. And so the next event will be on the 2nd of May. And that information and timings will be sent out to you closer to the time. And we will be joined by Sister Vedanti. And the subject will be yoga. It will be an online yoga bhatti with Vedanti Ben coaching us and guiding us through various stages of yoga. So we sincerely hope, on behalf of the whole team, sincerely hope that all of you enjoyed today. If you have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to send them to the IYF mailbox, iyf@brahmakumaris.org. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. I'm just wondering from the team, is there anything else I need to mention? Right, Asi is telling me Brother Lois from Switzerland and Brother Sham in the team from India are also part of the team. So many, many thanks to all of these souls behind the scenes that made today possible. Perhaps we can now just spend a few moments tuning into Madhuban. This is home for every Brahmin on the planet. Doesn't matter where you may physically be, come to Madhuban and let's spend a few moments with Bab Dada in Madhuban to close this session. So wherever you are, step into the room of your mind. And bring yourself into the courtyard of Pandav Bhavan. Brahma Baba's Tapasya Bhumi, the home of Tapasya. And feel the coolness of Pandav Bhavan. And then walk yourself towards the Tower of Peace. And as you stand in front of the Tower of Peace, let that silence wash over you and become that Tower of Peace. And then from there, slowly walk into the History Hall. You enter the History Hall and you sit down on one of the couches. And you see all the pictures of the ancestor souls. And as you sit there, you know that you are not alone. You are supported by a mighty family of souls, of elders who are watching over you. Allow their blessings to wash over you. And now from the History Hall, make your way towards Baba's room. And as you enter Baba's room, You've entered the Father's lap. Meet Baba with a lot of love. And Baba says, child, welcome home. And then from Baba's room, make your way slowly to Baba's hut. And this is Baba's heart throne. Let yourself become a carefree child. Release all the burdens from your heart and give them to Baba. And go and sit in Baba's heart throne. And let Baba's light and Baba's love clean and soothe the heart. And now become bodiless. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om